Across the infinite tapestry of the multiverse, two names reverberate through the hidden dimensions with fear and awe. Darkseid, the embodiment of anti-life, and Molecule Man, the walking singularity of molecular manipulation. This is not a story of mere battle. It is the tale of existential collapse, a war of fundamental forces where entire realities tremble in anticipation. In a realm where time had folded upon itself and dimensions collapsed into spectral echoes, true form Darkseid stirred. Unlike the countless avatars he projected into physical universes, this was the genuine essence of the god of tyranny, a being so vast, so absolute in power that no single universe could contain him. He dwelled in the cracks between dimensions, in the folds of reality that whispered the truth behind all illusions. But something had gone wrong. The source wall had shattered with the fall of the multiversal barrier. The barriers between Marvel and DC realities weakened. Concepts began leaking, ideas, entities, laws of physics bleeding into one another. Darkseid sensed it like a cancer gnawing on his domain. What terrified even him, however, was the presence that danced within the chaotic breach, a pinpoint of brilliant, maddening power, a presence that warped reality by mere thought. Elsewhere, within the remnants of the Marvel multiverse, after the collapse of multiple Earths, Owen Reese, the Molecule Man, sat at the center of a new pocket dimension he had constructed. His once fragile mind had matured through pain, loss, and cosmic evolution. No longer fractured, Owen had attained a terrifying clarity, an equilibrium between his human emotions and nigh-omnipotent control over the very structure of all matter and energy. He was no longer just a man cursed with power. He was the fulcrum of the multiverse. Reese had long been the puppet and key of the Beyonders. They had designed him to be a multiversal bomb, each Owen Reese in each universe a trigger. But doom had intervened. The incursions, battle world, and secret wars had all ended in collapse. But he had survived. Now sensing the same collapse as Darkseid, Molecule Man stood at the precipice of a new realization. Someone or something is trying to impose will across all that is. He saw the anti-life equation moving like a shadow, corrupting ideas, infecting the concepts of freedom, love and hope across the multiverse. It had no physical form, and yet it spread like a virus. And at its source was a being whose presence unwrote causality itself, a being who had no beginning and no end. The imbalance tipped when entire worlds, both DC and Marvel, began fusing. Unexplainably, Watu the Watcher and Metron both convened within the Mobius chair, looking over a quantum rift, stretching across 52 Earths and infinite alternate timelines. This isn't random, Metron said, scanning timelines with cosmic apprehension. The multiverse is being rewritten, not just destroyed. Rewritten with a single will. Watu closed his one eye slowly. And there is only one being in existence that can do that without a single army. A being who controls reality and fears becoming a god. They both knew who it was, Molecule Man. But what they didn't expect was that true form Darkseid was already watching them. In the infinite echoes beyond their understanding, Darkseid smiled. A terrifying notion, because Darkseid never smiles. Let them gather. Let them prepare. But they do not understand. This is not the end of one multiverse. It is the end of all conflict. The equation shall be law, and the molecular slave will kneel. Owen Reese stood in a place outside time, what remained of the white-hot room, a place sacred to creation itself. The Phoenix Force flared nearby, distorted and wild, barely holding on to its purpose. Even it feared what was coming. There, Owen constructed a bridge between concepts, a molecular stairway that touched every realm, every probability line. It was pure potential, unbounded and flowing. But even at that height, he could feel it. Darkseid was coming, not the Echo, not the puppet god, not the Omega King that fought Superman. True form Darkseid, the one who was never truly defeated, because he was never truly in their world. Owen clenched his fists. Every molecule responded. Quarks whispered. Time bent at the edges. I'm tired of being their key, their weapon. Their Godslayer. Not this time. But it was already too late. In the skies above the white-hot room, the stars inverted into black holes. Words lost meaning. The concept of distance vanished. True form. Darkseid stepped forward not in body, but in will. The skies screamed in binary. Equations wrote themselves into fire. Darkseid's voice boomed not in air, but in reality's very framework. Owen Reese, I am the inevitable. I am the truth that ends truths. The molecules you command, I wrote their laws with my thoughts.
You will kneel.
But Owen Reese did not kneel. He stood firm, his human eyes burning brighter than galaxies. In that moment, he wasn't just a remnant of a failed experiment. He was the last creative, force uncorrupted. You might control death, Darkseid, Owen said, but I control everything else. Around him, a lattice of molecular potential expanded. He held out his hand. Realities bloomed like petals, worlds yet to exist, futures where Darkseid never was. Concepts of peace, rebellion, and hope made tangible. And for the first time, even Darkseid felt curiosity. Then let us test which truth prevails. And so it began. Not a battle of fists, not a war of weapons, a collision of finalities. Anti-life versus molecular creation. The god who ends versus the man who makes. Darkseid versus Molecule Man. The multiverse held its breath. The battleground was nowhere, a conceptual dimension formed by their mere convergence. Here logic broke down. Here reality was a negotiable idea. Stars orbited them like electrons. The multiversal axis bent to accommodate their presence. And in the center of it all stood Molecule Man, radiant with absolute control over all molecular and quantum structures. Across from him was the void incarnate, true form Darkseid, not a being but an inevitable law. His presence drained meaning. Language itself faltered in his shadow. This is your last creation, Darkseid murmured. After this, all that remains is me. With a mere thought, he unleashed the Omega Truth, a blast not of energy, but of destiny. It was not a beam, it was an assertion that Owen Reese had already lost. The beam raced forward, splitting time into infinite branches, each ending in the erasure of Owen's identity. Owen didn't block the Omega Truth. He rewrote the structure of the concept. Before it touched him, quarks destabilized. The Omega effect reversed, converted into pure neutrino data and collapsed into a harmless burst of light. You don't dictate my ending anymore, Owen said, eyes pulsing like collapsing galaxies. Then he breathed, and the battlefield changed. Suddenly, they were in the heart of an impossible star, each particle engineered by Reese to disrupt even conceptual entities. Darkseid momentarily slowed, raised a hand, and the star died. He spoke in equations older than existence. You cannot contain me. You cannot kill me. I am the anti-life. I am beyond molecules, beyond structure. No, Owen said. You're dependent on structure. You need the anti-life equation. You need reality to suppress it. And with that, Owen pointed and stripped the framework of the multiverse itself, rendering it malleable, molten. The anti-life equation no longer had a cage to echo within. It lost its grip. Darkseid roared. Entire dead universes collapsed into him, fueling his being. He grew immense, spanning thousands of realities at once. Every breath he took silenced civilizations. Every word turned stars to ash. He launched himself at Owen, not with body but with will. And Owen did the unthinkable. He matched it. He touched Darkseid's essence directly and rewrote it, not to destroy but to divide. Suddenly Darkseid fractured. Not his avatars, him, split into 7 conceptual shards, each representing a piece of his divine truth. Tyranny, control, finality, fear, obedience, despair, and will. Owen isolated the final shard, will, and locked it inside a containment field composed of inverted uncertainty principles, a cage of pure paradox. You're not unstoppable, Owen whispered. You are just too big to see clearly. You cannot, the will of Darkseid muttered, fading, erase truth. I'm not erasing it, Owen said. As the other shards dissipated like mist, I'm redefining it. With one final breath, Owen crushed the paradox prism in his palm, and with it, the will of Darkseid was unwritten. Time resumed. Across the fused multiverses, the anti-life equation disintegrated. Worlds long silenced by despair began to stir. Hope, real conceptual hope, blossomed again like new physics. Owen Reese stood alone. Darkseid was gone. Not killed, not defeated in the traditional sense, but unwound, dismantled on a level even gods feared to tread. Not every god needs worship, Owen murmured. Some of us just build.